So back in 2020, soon after the COVID lockdown, I caught up with Rohan and we decided that we want to get out and we plan to do this long 11 to 12 day ride which would pass through Goa, Karnataka, down to Kerala, basically a whole South India tour of about 2 weeks. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out, and here we are in 2021, almost at the end of 21, and things really haven't gotten too much better. There are still restrictions on the Karnataka border, there are still restrictions and issues and outbreaks in Kerala as well. So we decided to do maybe a shorter ride of about 3 days where we cover the Konkan Coast or the western coastal region. So the plan is to ride down to Dapoli, stay the night there, then spend the next day riding up the coast on the coastal highway and maybe return on a Sunday. So let's see how that goes.
So thoughts about the trip, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to it. It's been a while since we've taken the bikes out, and this place, it seems to be amazing, at least on the map and the reviews. And I think the road to this place, the Bhor route that we're going to be taking, it's supposed to be really good, as per what you said. So looking forward to it, and hopefully it's fun.
So really looking forward to this trip, and we're out here planning out all the last minute decisions or ride plans on what we're going to carry and what we're going to do. So let's see if the weather is still going to hold up in the next couple of days. We should be able to do this trip. So today is Monday the 4th of October. We have just a couple of days before we start our ride and the weather is not looking good. It looks like a full-blown storm, lightning, thunder, extremely heavy rain. I hope things get better before we start, and I hope we don't have to cancel. The whole incident with the bike and the issues brought up a lot of red flags, and I called Rohan up to say that we have these issues and I don't know whether they're going to be able to get the bike fixed and ready on time for the ride, given there was just a day left, I think. So Rohan decided that it might be better to cancel the trip last minute and postpone, because even if we do get the bike back, there isn't much time really or much notice, and if we don't get it back, we'd have to call up the bookings that we made to the resort where we were supposed to stay. So we decided to cancel and postpone the trip for another week, which in hindsight might end up being a good thing, considering the weather has been terrible over the last couple of days, and maybe these few days extra might just help with some clear weather. Well, after quite a bit of bad news and setbacks, finally there's a bit of good news. The bike has been repaired. They managed to get a new radiator in time and spent almost, I think, 10 hours repairing the bike and getting the new radiator in and flushing the coolant system and getting everything ready. Thanks to the guys at BMW Motorrad at Pune, Bavaria Motors, for expediting the process of getting a new part so quickly and getting the bike ready in time. They did manage to actually deliver it in time for the ride, but we have decided to push the ride out at this point by a couple of days to buy us some more time.
We are finally near Veranda Ghat, and it's been a great morning so far. The roads have been really good. The weather's amazing actually. A few things, I seem to have forgotten my Osmo pocket, but I think the ride's made up for it. And then it's an amazing place.
So Rohan, how was day one?
Day one was not easy. We started off at around 6 and we met up at around 6:40. We left on time and we definitely, I would say that around 85% of the ride was smooth. The roads were great, the scenery was beautiful. And once we hit the 11 or 10:30, 11 mark, it felt like riding on Venus or Mercury. Was that hot. But apart from the heat, I think the entire journey was very eventful. And we also stopped at a fantastic restaurant on Veranda Bhor. And now we're at this beautiful resort called the Konkan Trip, run by Amit Gaikwad. Beautiful place so far. Day one. It's been excellent. So Neil, you've heard me speak. I would like to hear from you what's been the most eventful part of the day.
So the ride, had a lot of interesting parts to it. I really enjoyed the scenery and the roads, and I love the weather in the first half, like you said. Towards the end, the last maybe 2 hours we fried, and that was painful, but the heat's what it is. The food was one of the highlights. Good vada pav and bhajiyas at Veranda with great scenery as well. The second highlight I think would be reaching the resort, and when the guy came to pick us up, he said he's going to show us the way to the resort, and we ended up riding on the sand, riding straight onto the beach, and then riding through the sand all the way up to the resort, literally on the beach, with the bike swaying from side to side in the sand, and just getting used to the whole riding in sand with both tires swishing from side to side was unexpected, but fun, scary, and fun at the same time.
So Neil, what do we have planned for day 2?
So tomorrow we plan to ride up north along the coast. So we're going to start from here, and there's a really beautiful road that runs across the coast where for the most part you can see the sea on your left and there's hills on the right. So we're going to go down that, head maybe about 50 to 100 kilometers up north if we can, and see what's on the coast for tomorrow.
And last but not the least, since you are a foodie,
Yeah.
how's the food been ever since we've come to this resort?
Oh, the food's been great. Having coastal Konkan food is always great, but having coastal Konkan food on the coast in front, just overlooking the beach, and when the fish is that fresh, nothing can beat that. So the food's been amazing so far. I can't wait for dinner. I'm just waiting to go back down for dinner. thoughts on day 2 of the ride. The morning started well. We had a nice breakfast. We spent the first 1 kilometer riding on the beach to get to the main road on the sand. And I think by now we were much more used to riding on the sand, and it felt better and it was good fun. The highlights of day 2, I would say, would be, I think the first one was when we were heading to this place called Kolthare Beach, where you basically come down this hill, and it's almost like a jungle road covered in greenery and trees, and you're descending down this really steep hill, and once you hit the end of the hill, you suddenly see the beach, and that was a really nice part of the ride. Later on, as we moved further down the coast and traveled southwards, we came across the Dabhol Creek, which is a creek or a water body which is separating two parts of the land, and it's a fairly large distance, doesn't have any major bridges across it, so that's where we ended up having to cross using the ferry, and that was a great experience by itself. Just riding onto the ferry and crossing that area and enjoying the ferry ride as well. There was one other highlight that was really good fun, which was somewhere in between these two places, where we looked on the map and there was this huge diversion that we had to take, where it takes you away from the coastal road and goes more inland for almost 30 minutes or half an hour, and that's something that you have to do to come back and join the main road at the sea. However, we found this little trail on the map which was almost unmarked. It looks like a really small single trail, and we were not sure if it would connect, but we said, what the heck, let's go and try it anyway. And that turned out to be one of the most fun parts of the ride, where we went through this farm area on a single track dirt road, and there were cows and fields on one side, there was a river flowing on the other side, and then we hit this really narrow bridge where we're not sure whether the bikes are going to fit onto that bridge, but we said, again, what the heck, let's try it anyway. And it was fun, riding down that single track, and finally we made it to the main road, and it saved us about half an hour or more, which was great, and moreover the experience was really fun. So then once we got back to the resort, it was around lunchtime. We had a really nice lunch. Amit from the resort had set up this really nice fish lunch, which was very fresh catch again. And then we spent most of the day on the beach and resting after having done that 100-odd kilometer ride. The evening was really nice as well, where they arranged a barbecue on the beach. So we had some barbecued food, bonfire, and it was really a great day. I think day 2 was one of the main highlights of this trip, and that's what we came to do, to explore the road that runs across the sea. So all in all, a really great day for day 2. So thoughts on day 3 of the ride. So day 3 we decided to set out and leave the resort really early in the morning. We left at around 6:30 or around 7, I guess, after having a light breakfast. And we were really afraid of the heat that we would run into because it had been really hot the 2 days prior to this day. So we set off back home early in the morning, and it turned out somehow that the day we left, there was a cloud overcast across the sky and the weather was much cooler than it was for the past 2 days. So we really enjoyed the ride back, and this took us through a lot of hilly areas and a lot of green fields, we passed a lot of lakes, we passed lots of gorges and hilly areas on the way back. And I think we enjoyed the ride back a lot more than we enjoyed, especially some of the parts closer towards the coast where we were on the way. We couldn't really experience it because we were, so tired and hot from the sun. On the way back, everything looked really different. Although we had been down those roads before, it felt a lot nicer, and we really enjoyed that ride with the twisties and the curvy roads. And all in all, it was a really fantastic ride on the way back. So the final thoughts on the trip was, I wish we had a longer time and we had more days, because I think the Konkan area or the whole coastal Maharashtra area is something that has a lot to offer. And I feel like even though we did about 100 odd kilometers on the coast and things like that, we barely scratched the surface. I think there's just so many interesting areas and roads and different kind of landscapes to explore in that area. I wish we had more days and we had spent more time actually riding around exploring that area. But all in all, I mean, it was a wonderful trip. It was great to catch up with Rohan again. We had a lot of catching up that we could do. Really enjoyed the riding, the food, the culture. We learned a lot about different things which are very specific to that region that we didn't know, like village culture, music, food, things that grow there that don't grow in any other region. So it was a really interesting ride all in all, and I wish that at some point we can do this again and maybe spend a lot more time exploring what else this place has to offer.